Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva's YouTube. We are learning today just Daf It, Daf Yomi Shir, continuing Perik Elunaros, Daf Lamed and Kesubos number 30. A great share for you today. We're going to talk about something very important. I'm going to elaborate it more in Iyot Ben Sion. Hakol B'dei Shamayim. Gemara says here, Chutz Misinim Pachim. Gemara elsewhere says, Hakol B'dei Shamayim Chutz Miyir Shamayim. Everything is in the hands of heaven except fear of God. Sinim Pakim, hot and cold. What does that mean exactly? There's an important Tosfos over here about Bechira. I like to talk about one of my favorite topics of Bechira Chavshis. Tosfos makes a declaration over here. Of course, if you want to kill yourself or kill someone else, you have the ability to do so. There is a Chovos HaLevavos who doesn't say that, who disagrees with Tosfos. I want to explain. I believe the truth lies within the Chovos HaLevavos. I want to explain more the opinion of the Chovos HaLevavos, who's also a Rishon, a Sephardi Rishon, around 1200 he lived, 1260s I think, I don't know. I'm going to talk, this is going to relate obviously to the Gemara over here, a Shita of Nechoim ben Akana, which is seems to disagree on our Mishnah, that even B'chayvei Krisos, you wouldn't pay a Knas of Mammon, Kares, even Misa B'dei Shamayim or Kares would pater from Mammon, and therefore there would be no Knas. The Elunaros in our first mission over here, Nara, who was raped. Let's get into it. We're going to start from the bottom of Chav Tet Amud Beis. We're in discussion over here. Machlokas between Rav Shimon Atemni and Rav Shimon Menasya, who basically hold that marriage is not an option. So there would be no Knas over here. I explained in Iyot Ben Sion on Daf Chav 10, number 29, that the reason being is that the money of the Knas is not just a fine, it's supposed to be actually in place of a Kesuba. It's supposed to be the value. You have to marry her, and only when you marry her do you pay the Knas, because you're paying the value of this woman, this Psula, the virgin, which is the same value as a Kesuba, right? When you marry a woman, not against her will, but you marry her willingly. So now, the Gemara is trying to find a distinction. Rav Shimon Atemni and Rav Shimon Menasya basically agree, but they phrase it differently. Rav Shimon Atemni says, Isha sheyesh b'havaya, right? It only applies where there's havaya, meaning where kedushin is tovsin, where there would be ability, if you're makadesh, it would be valid halachically. Shimon Menasya says a little more, that not just the kedushin is tovsin, you have to be able, even after kedushin is tovsin, to be able to stay married to her. If Beis forces you to get divorced, then the knas wouldn't apply. So we're trying to figure out a nafkamina between them, and the Gemara gets into the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, who holds ein kedushin tovsin b'chayvei lavin. Now there's a different opinion even within Rabbi Akiva. So we'll start from 4 lines from the bottom of Chav Tet Amud Beis. Rabbi Yishavi v'damar bova nitzuach. I think Arsh does nitzaveach, to scream. I think nitzuach is to win. Nitzuach al Akiva ben Yosef shaya omer kol shein lo bia b'Yisrael vlad mamzer. He explains to Rabbi Akiva not just about kedushin tovsin. There's no bia b'Yisrael. Bia is not allowed b'Yisrael. The vlad is a mamzer, not just chayvei lavin, but also we'll see even chayvei esay. Maybe nayu. What's the difference between them? Iko nayu chayvei esay. The Gemara says on top of lamed about aleph mitzri v'adomi, right? Where the Torah does not say you can't marry them, it just says mitzri v'adomi dor shlishi. After they convert, you can marry them, which implies, the Torah is implying that you can't marry them if they're a convert, if they're a mitzri that just converted. At the first or second generation, you can't marry them. That's called an isser essay, which is less severe. So that's the difference between Rav Shimon Atemni and Rav Shimon Menasya, right? According to Rabbi Akiva, by chayvei essay, right? Because chayvei essay, technically, right, there would be havaya, but you still can't remain married to them. It's also to remain married to them. As far as Hanichal Rabbi Shaviv, makes sense according to Rabbi Shaviv, Lefugi Mehavid Rabbi Simai cause. He's coming to say not like Rabbi Simai, who was also an explanation of Rabbi Akiva. Shapir, I'll eat time with the nafshei kamar. If he's saying a general statement, Kol shein lo bia b'Yisrael, shein lo bia b'Yisrael, avad mamzer, afil chayvei esay. He would hold if vlad mamzer, even chayvei esay seemingly would apply, because there's no bia b'Yisrael. Bia is not allowed. It's not based on the dint of chayvei lavin, but based on the power of chayvei esay. It's still not allowed. So where it says finally there would be a nafkamina, a bul kohen gadol. We know there's a mitzvah in the Torah. Kohen gadol has to marry a psula. He can't marry a woman who's been previously married, who's a ba'ula, right? Not that she's an almana, right? She was just had a bia with somebody else. She wasn't married to somebody else. She had a bia with somebody else. She's a bu'ula. She's not a psula. It's a mitzvah's essay. So the Gemara says, what's the difference between that and mitzvah adomi? Why Maishna? Why is it different? The Havli essay chain on Shavah Bakol, because it only applies to Kohen Gadol. It doesn't apply to Kohan. It doesn't apply to Yisraelim. This only applies in rare cases. So therefore, even when we say Kol She'en Lo Bia B'Yisrael, it means all of Klal Yisrael. So technically, that would be the nafkin with the Shimon Atemni or Shimon Nasya. According to Shimon Atemni, Rabbi Kiva would hold Bula the Kohen Gadol does not produce a mamzer. However, according to Shimon Nasya, you would not be able to keep her. So therefore, there would be no knas, even Bula the Kohen Gadol. Amar Rav Chisda, Kol Modim, everyone agrees, but Baal Anida Shmishalim Knas. Even Rav Shimon Nasya and Shimon Atemni, one of the cases are Mishnah, as we have, if you rape a Nida, right? Either, according to either reason, right? Technically, if you're Makadish, a woman who's presently a Nida, she menstruated, she didn't go to the mikveh yet, technically, Kedushin is Tosin, because you could technically remain married to her when she is Matayr, so she goes to the mikveh. And the same thing wouldn't force you to get divorced, because she can go to the mikveh and Matayr herself. Ulafuke, now the Gemara makes another statement. Our Mishnah does not hold Rabbi Nechemia ben Akana. Doesn't hold Rabbi Nechemia ben Akana. The Sanya Rabbi Nechemia ben Akana, he also says Yom Kippurim Keshabes, L'Tashlumin. Ma Shabbos Mitzchayev ben Avsham Pater min Tashlumin. Af Yom Kippurim Mitzchayev ben Avsham Pater min Tashlumin. If you go ahead on Shabbos, you go and you do a malacha on Shabbos, and at the same time you rip someone's shirt or something like that, where you're chayav to pay for his shirt, or you steal something on Shabbos, we'll see Lamed Aleph. So if it happens at the same time, Bas Achas, the Gemara says. So therefore, there's a halacha of Kim Leib D'Ravmina, and Shabbos you're chayav misa, you be based and they kill you. So since they kill you, so therefore you're patur from paying for ripping the guy's shirt or for stealing something from him. However, when it comes to Yom Kippur, right, there's only if you do malach on Yom Kippur, you only chayav kares. So there's no technical physical punishment. You don't get killed by beis in the hands of beis in. Only b'dei shamayim, you get kares, whatever kares is. You die early, you don't have children, whatever kares is. So it's in the hands of b'dei shamayim. Nechemia Akana says, and we're going to see where he derives this from, that kares is the same thing as mises beis in. So therefore, just like mises beis in, it says in our Mishnah you wouldn't get, so too he would apply by kares in the Mishnah, and it would pater the knas, which is tashlum, which is the monetary payment. So therefore, Nechemia Akana would not agree with our Mishnah, and he would say you're pater min tashlumin when you do an avera, when you do a chayve kares, which is a lot of the arayas mentioned, your sister, your wife's sister, your aunt, things like that. So, Amar Abaye, so my time with Nechemia Akana, where does he get his reasoning from? Amar Abaye, it's Machlokes Abaye and Rava. Abaye says, Nemar asom b'dei adam, Nemar asom b'dei shamayim. Ma'asan amor b'dei adam pater af min tashlumin, av asan amor b'dei shamayim pater min tashlumin. It's a Gzera Shav. It says the word asan. This is a famous pasuk. It says if a woman is pregnant, right, and you throw something at her, you punch her or whatever, and you dislodge the fetus, you cause a miscarriage. So the Gemara says you have to pay. Lo asan, right? There's no tragedy. You only kill the fetus, right? So you only have to pay money because the fetus is worth money. But obviously it's not called a life. And for all those people who think like Ben Shapiro, Ben Shapiro is aligned with everything in the Torah. It's clear from the Torah that's not true. It's not called murder when you kill a fetus. Abortion, abortion is definitely not called killing according to the Torah, because if it were called killing, so then you'd be patur min tashlumin. The Torah says, it's a pasuk in the Torah. The Torah says, Im lo yason anosh yanish, then you pay money. If there is a son, if you killed the mother, so then you're chayav mises basins, then you're patur, even though you also caused a miscarriage and you lost the husband who owns his child money. You're patur, even from mammon for killing the child. But either way, you're not chayav misa for killing a fetus. It's clear that it's not called murder to kill a fetus according to the Torah. According to the Torah, it's not called. I'm not going to say according to politics or government. I'm just saying according to the Torah, there is definitely not called murder. Some posts can say maybe it's a lav or an essay. It's not clear from the only thing you can conclusively say from the Torah is that a fetus has monetary value to the husband, and therefore, if you do an abortion, you choose to do the abortion for whatever reason you chose to do it. It's your own baby, and the husband willingly agrees to this, so then you don't have to pay anything because it's your own money. It's like you throw your own money into the lake. You can throw your money into the lake. That's up to you. So abortion is only a monetary penalty if it's not your baby. If it is your baby, then you can do abortion. I think abortion is completely mutter according to the Torah. That's what I see it. For any reason. That's the way the Torah seems to indicate. You have to prove me wrong because the raya is upon you. The Torah is very clear. Anyway, getting back to the Gemara over here. The point of this pasuk is to say a son is talking about if you kill the mother or not. So therefore, that's awesome b'dei adam. When you punch the mother, you kill threw some stone at the mother. And awesome b'dei shemayim, we're going to see this is awesome b'dei shemayim. Yaakov, when he warns his children that when they bring Binyamin down to go see Yosef, he says an ason shouldn't happen, a tragedy shouldn't happen. He's talking about something that happens in the hands of heaven. Ma asan amar b'dei adam patrim d'ashlumin. Av asan amar b'dei shemayim patrim d'ashlumin. Similarly, ason, a tragedy happened to the Shemayim. Kares is an ason, it's a tragedy that happened to the Shemayim. It's not carried out by a physical basin, so therefore you put him in the Shlumin. Maskov Rabada Barava. Rabada Barava has the following challenge. How do you know when Yaakov was warning his children, bring Binyamin down? He's saying, be careful of sinning apachim, of getting a cold, of getting too hot or something like that, dehydrated or something like that. Dilma al Arya Veganve to be Adam Nino. How do you also it's talking to the Shemayim? Maybe he's talking about watch out for lions, watch out for thieves that are supposedly at the hands of people, but the Adam. We'll discuss more about the Adam in the Shemayim in a second. Adu Yaakov Azar, Ahalo Azar. Yaakov called Mili Azar. The Gemara says no, Yaakov, even if you want to say of course he warned them to be careful about bandits, about lions, he also warned them to be careful for to get dehydrated or to get too cold, and to get frostbite. So the Gemara says it's called hypothermia. So Yaakov called Mili Azar. The Gemara says Sinu Pachim B'dei Shemayim. How do we assume? Why do we assume Sinu Pachim? The Gemara's assumption is that's B'dei Shemayim. It's at the hands of heaven. It's a tragedy that happens at the hands of heaven. There's no way you can control it. Everything is in the hands of heaven in the life. The Gemara says elsewhere, everything is in the hands of heaven except Yer Shamayim. Here the Gemara adds, Sinim Apachim, dehydrating, or getting too hot or too cold. Sinim is cold, Pachim is hot. Sinim Pachim B'derach Ike Shomer Nafsho Yerchak Man. Pasuk in Mishlei says, there's hot and there's cold along the path when you travel, right? You have to be careful of that. Shomer Nafsho Yerchak Man. You wear a coat, right? You dehydrate, you drink water, you can distance yourself from that. We assume if you get attacked by lions or bandits, that's in the hands of people. The day the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, even though Sanhedrin can't enact the four penalties, four capital punishments, right? There still exist the four capital punishments. So the Gemara asks, They don't do those four capital punishments anymore. There's no more Sanhedrin. There's no more Beis Hamikdash. Ella, the Gemara's answer is Amamad Amad Beis Dinar Misas Lo Batlu, meaning the justice of four misas of four capital punishments still exists, not at the hands of Beis Din. What does that mean? Lo Batlu mentioned as Chayav Skila, for example, someone who did something which normally, if the Beis Hamikdash was around, would be Chayav Skila. Onofim and Agago Chayav Der Saso. What's going to happen? They will fall from a roof, or a beast will trample him, which is similar to skila. Someone who's chayav sreifa, to be burnt at the hands of Beis, and either a fire will consume him, or he gets burnt by the venom of a snake and I'll die. He's chayav hariga, he's chayav to be beheaded. He's going to be given over to the government, and a lot of times they'll behead them. Or bandits come and they kill him. Someone is chayav chenek, which is the least severe of the aramis. So tovei benar, you'll drowned. Meis besorinki. I don't know. This is a type of death that's brought upon, a type of illness that kills you by not making you able to breathe. COVID also, kill people by that way. El epoch. So the Gemara says, Arya vegan v'bidei shamayim, sinu pachim b'dei adam. No, you're right. We have a good proof. Arya vegan actually. That's based on, heaven ordained that you should be killed by lions or robbers. Sinmu Pachim, like the Gemara says, that's in your control, seemingly. Rav gives a different reason for Nechunya ben Akana. Time when the Nechunya ben Akana mehachav, im halim yalimu am haaretz etzeinei min ha'ishahu, betito mizaro lamolech, v'samti ani espana b'ishahu, v'mishpachto yichrasi oto. This is my parsha, our mitzvah parsha kedoshim. If Beis Din chooses not to stone someone when they're supposed to, right? You give your daughter a lamolech, whatever that means. So then, if you choose not to punish him, Hashem will punish him. He'll punish him with kares. He'll cause him to die earlier, or cause him to not have children. So the Gemara compares Mises Beis Din to kares. Amra Torah kares shali kamisa shalachem. My kares is equivalent to Mises based in. Just like if someone violated Shabbos or is chayav Mises based and you potter from paying, af kares shali potter min tashlumim. Therefore, Nechina ben Akana learns that you be potter from tashlumim even for kares. Ma'ika ben Rav Abaye. Is there any practical difference between them? Someone who is chayav azar or Yisrael who eats truma. We just finished Pesachas Truma. It's interesting. We're starting Pesachas Maestros right after this. So if you eat truma, you're chayav Mises on purpose. You're chayav Mises based in. La Abaye potter. According to Abaye, Akana would say if you ate truma, you be potter for paying for that truma also because Mises Shemayim is called asor. It's called a tragedy. A tragedy is whether it's kares or Mises Shemayim. Mises Shemayim is a little different than kares, a little less severe. Kares means you die early. Mitzvah Shamayim, not exactly clear what that is, but it's less severe than Kares. You'll die at the hands of heaven, but maybe not as a drastic way as Kares. Well, Rava Chayav, according to Rava, you'd be Chayav because it says Daf It Kares, which is more severe. Mitzvah Shamayim, you'd be Chayav to pay him monetarily. Abaye Potter, Abaye be Potter. Amar of Chistam order b'nechim in Akana, begon of Chelbo Shel Chaver. That's how you steal the fats, the forbidden fats, which are Chayav Kares, so you eat the forbidden fats of an animal. Shel Chaver va'achlo. It belongs to his friend, and it's chaylev, and he eats it. Shu chayev, he's chayev monetarily. Shekvarn is chayev b'gneva comes b'ali de yisra chaylev. Even though we possibly we're going to see this kimle b'derab when you're chayev for two offenses, misa and mammon, you only get killed and you don't pay the monetary punishment. That only happens at the same time. If you steal it, right when you stole it, right, so you're chayev for money, and then afterwards when you ate it, you're chayev for chaylev. Amad be'idna. Once you picked it up, and we're going to see you took it out of the reshus of the person, Kanye, you're not chayiv death until he eats the chaylev. He's not chayiv kares. Hachanami, similarly over here, when you take someone else's truma, right? When you picked up the truma, you're koneh. Kineva's kinyan geneva. So you should be responsible to pay twice. So how are we going to find, according to Abaye, it's like or someone else took the truma and stuck it into your throat. So you didn't pick it up, so you didn't do geneva. If you put it in your mouth and you chewed it, you don't have to pick it up. Once you chew it, you changed it to shina ma'aseh, you changed it, you're chayav for geneva. It's chayav v'nafsha lo havei ad bala until you actually swallowed it. You swallow it. We'll talk about more hanas gar and hanas me'ayim in terms of chayav punishment in the Torah for eating something. There's two types of hana. There's hana that you enjoy food. The normal way of enjoying food is when you go passes through your tongue and through your throat. You enjoy the taste of the food. And there's hanas me'ayim, right, where you're satiated from the food. Either way, when you choose to boleya it, that happens after you chew it. So the answer is the person stuck it all the way down your throat. So the Mar Techidan, what's the case? If there's no way, if he can actually throw it up, he can cough it up. Nahader, he should return it. And the fact that he doesn't return it shows at that moment when he chooses not to, so therefore he's stealing it. And therefore the hana technically happens a little later. The hana, we'll assume we could say it's the hanas me'ayim, happens when he swallows it. If he can't cough it up, my chayev. Why is he chayav? Who's chayav in that case? The person who stuck it into his throat. You can't fault the person. Someone else stuck it into his throat against his will. So the other person's chayav. So you can have misa lazeh, mama lazeh. The person who stuck it into his throat is chayav for the gnev, and he's chayav for misa b'deshmayim, for eating truma. You're talking about a weird case where technically, if you really tried really hard, you can cough it up. However, most people don't want to cough it up. Don't want coughing it up. Cough some mucus. So most people don't want to, and it's very difficult for them to cough it up. So therefore, you can't say that his friend is chayiv because technically he could have coughed it up. He could have pushed himself and coughed up. So you can't fault his friend. So he's the one chayiv for stealing it when he chooses to swallow, and you're not chayiv for the hana for eating it until it comes into your stomach. Let's say it comes into your stomach. That's later point. So therefore, I'm sorry. The Gemara is saying now you can't return it. So therefore, you're chayiv. You're the one chayiv for swallowing it, and either you can say that the hanas ma'ayim is mechayev for the achila, for the misa b'dei shamayim, for the achila, and is one process of of going through your throat and into your digestive system. Or if you want to say that the Chiyav Misa B'dei Shamayim is for the Hanas Garon, he's the one who chooses. He could have coughed it up. He swallows it now. So it happens at the exact same moment. He's getting physical hana from his mouth, and because he could have coughed up, he doesn't. He's choosing to swallow. It happens at the exact same time, and that would be the case that Zar Shachal Truma, according to Abaye, would he potter minat tashlum, he potter restoration, he just be chayav misa b'dei shamayim. That's the conclusion of today's share. We're going to discuss a couple other possibilities in Abaye, according to Nechayim Makana, by Zar Shachal Truma, how you can be chayav b'basakas at the same time. Tune in for Ian with Ben Sion, where I want to discuss something very important over here. It's very important tosis over here. This is a little more hashkafa oriented. However, it's very important to talk about. So we'll talk about it. Ian with Ben Sion coming up next.